constantly see her on my For You page just crying about pigeons. I don't believe in lizard people, but I for sure believe that the Illuminati is cat.
To be honest, like when I said chocolate chip cookies, I did not realize this
That is
would.
another reason that oatmeal raisin is superior.
Sets me into just an uncontrollable rage.
Served up cold, man. Like, bitch, shut up.
Allegedly, you're an idiot. Like,
Stupid plus bad intentions.
Welcome back to Strangers Talking Politics. I'm Alli.
I'm Bethany.
And I'm Jesse.
Today we are joined by Nick. If you would like to introduce yourself, however you'd like.
Yeah, I'm Nick, and I am here. You know, I don't know why I'm here, because I'm a stranger, and I'm going to be talking politics with you guys. We just met. I'm psyched to meet you both. I've listened to the first few. I didn't get the new one released today, but I enjoy it. I love the concept, and I love the execution so far. It's been great. So I've enjoyed both of those.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And as for me, I'm just a guy that's been in Missoula a long time. I'm a writer, producer, content, comms kind of generalist, I would say, with a particular interest in politics. And I've been driven in a certain direction by internal forces over the past year or two.
Wonderful. We're going to do a 2-minute rant or info dump. I am begging to go first.
Hi, editor here. Not a single person was held to the 2-minute cutoff.
Very, very strong feelings about pigeons. Okay, shout out to my girl on TikTok, Peach PRC. I don't know her. Wish I knew her. Anyway, I love her. She's from Australia, and I constantly see her on my For You page just crying about pigeons. And so then I had to go into a full deep dive about pigeons, and it breaks my heart every time. So we domesticated pigeons years and years and years ago. They were our pets. They were basically our dogs. They did our mail. We breeded them. We took care of them. Fully domesticated pigeons. And then the postal service became a thing, and we didn't need pigeons anymore. And then we just kind of were like, hey, go fuck yourself, and threw them to the curb. And now they're just called vermin. And no, everyone hates pigeons. And it's so sad because they're bred to love humans. And they know that instinctively humans are they should be. And it's just in my head, I'm could you imagine we went through all of this trouble of domesticating and breeding dogs, and then one day something new and shiny came out, and we were just let's take all of the dogs and put them outside, and if you have dogs, you're fucking weird now, and they're vermin and we need to get rid of them, and we're actively trying to get rid of dogs. People I couldn't in my listen. And there's this sweet old man who feeds the pigeons 3 houses away from me in my neighborhood, and every time I see it, I'm just oh my God, my heart, I love you, thank you for taking care of all of the pigeons. And it's just fucking pigeons, man. Yeah, that's my shit.
Maybe the old man is like an old soul. He can remember back to the time when the pigeons were.
It's possible. I
everybody's
fully, there's a part of me that fully expects to be something akin to the lady in the park feeding the pigeons in Home Alone.
Hell yeah.
Just last night, I went to see my niece's piglet for FFA, and it was in a pen full of 50 piglets. And I'm like, can I just take them all home? I mean, I like bacon, but I like it much better alive in the pen with all the rest of the babies than I do on my burger.
I have a whole my best friend calls me gothic Disney princess because I have a scurry of squirrels and a murder of crows that I feed, and they all know me and they follow me around. And I have one squirrel named Marty, and I feed her by hand. And God.
A scurry squirrels?
A scurry of squirrels.
Is that the term?
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic.
The murder of crows, a scurry of squirrels, and a mischief of magpies. Fuck those magpies. Listen, okay? I'm an animal person through and through, but fuck magpies. They're assholes. They're smart ass fucking birds, and they're dicks. Listen,
Wow, for someone that just had a boatload of empathy
They're
for
dicks.
pigeons.
Yeah, but
Love
magpies,
magpies.
yeah, I mean, they are I'm pretty sure 90% of the time they're the ones that shit on my car.
But also they're purposefully they're mean because they think it's funny.
They're smart enough to be mean too, because they're corvids, and corvids
are very
have
intelligent.
demonstrated ability in problem solving.
Yeah, and so they're mean to people because they think it's funny. And so they're little shitholes.
So why are they worse than crows then?
Because I love crows. Because crows
Okay.
But crows are nice to humans because they realize that humans will feed them and try to take care of them.
Trash.
And also,
Yeah.
crows will hold a grudge through generations. Like it has been proven that like 4 generations in a crow family will like attack like a family and their generations because they hold grudges, and they will like take their babies to the house and be like, we hate this family, just ruin their day.
Poop on their car.
Yeah, they'll like break their windows and like rip their crops out and like like crazy shit. Crows,
This is all alleged. If you are a crow listening to this, I apologize to you and your family. Please be my friend. I love you.
they're smart enough to also be mean if they need to, but like they just are they're like the bros of birds, in my opinion.
They're like the frat party of birds.
Yeah, like they just
Oh
are
boy.
like here to have a good time, and like they'll sit up on the power lines if you feed them like hard shelled nuts, and they'll drop them like right before a car comes so that they'll get smashed, and then they'll go down and take the insides out and then fly back up and eat them. And it's like that's so fucking smart. And also, did you know that crows can talk and so can ravens? Like more than parrots. Okay, I feel like I've gone on for longer than 2 minutes. Like
We're a long way from pigeon land.
I know, but so okay, last thing.
But
So
birds, you know.
birds. Last thing, and then I'll let somebody else go. But you know how like scary movies or like paranormal stuff like that, they'll be like, I heard somebody saying my name in the forest, in the woods, and whatever. 9 times out of 10, it's a raven because they think it's so funny and they can mimic your voice. It is so terrifying.
So we really are
you-
in the Hunger Games with the Mockingjays.
100%. But if you ever like, I'm telling you, Google just like a Fable is one of the ones that I love watching. That's the name of the raven, and they can mimic your voice and your inflection. Or if they hear a noise or a song that they really like, they like the way it sounds, they'll just keep doing it over and over again until they perfect it. And it's like it is the first time I ever heard a raven talk, I was like, no, that's a robot. Birds aren't real. Like that's because they have so many
Bethany,
vocal.
has your love for domesticated birds changed your opinion of domesticated cats?
In what way?
Well,
No, I
then,
love cats.
well, domesticated cats are one of the top killers of birds, and I mean, in all areas, they're an invasive species.
That's just like kind of the way of the animal world. Like I get sad if I see like a lion kill an antelope, but like I'm not going to stop the lion from killing the antelope or hate the lion for killing the antelope. That's just kind of like that's your shit. Granted,
Gross,
we also
but
did,
also
like domesticate cats.
We all gotta eat. Yeah.
But it's like cats also, they are secretly running the world. I don't believe in lizard people, but I for sure believe that the Illuminati is cats. Not really. Please, God, no one thinks that.
I'm like,
It's
I'm
a
just sitting here
joke.
seriously. I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, I could see it. I'm
Hear
just
me
saying,
out.
like, I could see it. Maybe furries,
Listen, Cat the Music tried to warn us.
We're
just,
going.
you know,
Okay, somebody else
Yeah.
go before I take over.
I just want to make an observation that I
Yeah.
feel like the line between your love list and your shit list is razor
It's
thin.
very razor thin. It just takes a little and then forever.
there you go.
Yeah. I'll either love you forever or hate you forever.
Yeah, I have strong feelings about chocolate chip cookies, and I've shared this many times, but here's the thing, right? Chocolate chip cookies, I think people do not understand the majesty that is a chocolate chip cookie. I think most people think that it is a vesicle to deliver as much chocolate as possible, in which case, yes, okay, I understand that because chocolate is divine. This is true, but why not just eat the chocolate? It's delightful by itself. But I think when they do that, they're missing the whole point of the butter and the brown sugar melding together and caramelizing and being held together with the, a little pinch of the salt and a little bit of the flour to just kind of hold it all together with a little crispy and a little chewy. And it's got that rich caramely thing going on. Like I feel like the batter by itself without the chocolate is equally divine, at least.
Yeah.
And the chocolate was put in there to just kind of break up the richness every once in a while with a surprise.
To just
And
add
now,
to it.
yeah, and now everybody's like, fuck you, brown sugar and butter. I just want all the chocolate and you have to bring it to me. And I'm like, can we just appreciate the divinity of the brown sugar and the butter melding together in the oven? It's beautiful.
So to clarify, are you anti-chocolate chunk then? Like
Yeah.
chocolate cookie
Big time.
fluff
Hate
bit?
those
I'm-
cookies.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
agree with you
Fucking
on
hate
that one.
that shit. Yeah.
I'm
It
there.
is a little too
Don't even want to eat it. And then I remember, but it is chocolate. So, I mean, it would be a travesty to let chocolate go to waste.
Yeah.
But also, can we work on our delivery system here? Can we maybe appreciate some of the other unsung heroes in this cookie?
I also think a chocolate chip or chunk is different than like a brownie cookie or like a brownie. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, the double chocolate and triple
It's-
chocolate.
it's just
too much.
too much.
Yeah,
It
it's over
gets
the top.
It gets
Don't
to
like
the
it.
point where it's like it's either just sweet to be sweet, or it's like so rich that like you have one bite and you're like, and we're done.
Yeah, like what is this thing with we just overdo everything, right? Like bacon is another one.
Everything all
Now we have bacon on donuts, and we have bacon in vodka, and we have bacon as an essential oil scent for our house.
Well, bacon had a good PR team. Let's be so fucking for real.
Yeah, true. But listen, bacon is divine. I love bacon. I do. By itself, alone, don't need anything else with
Beautiful.
it, or
Mhm.
can have lots of things with it. But why does it have to show up every single fucking where? Like every place, bacon, everything. And I'm like, it's
Because they can make money off of it.
killing it, man.
Although I'm reading a book right now about Little Heathens, I think it's called, and it's an elderly woman's account of growing up on an Iowa Depression era farm.
Hmm.
And she goes through a lot of like the cooking and what it took at that time to do like the prep and the, all these steps just to keep the entire family fed. And it's a greater family, of course. And the use of bacon grease is like they would fry pork chops and coat them in bacon grease and then put them in the cellar and then they would keep all winter. They would like pull them out months later.
Preservation.
Yeah.
Well, and the
Not
other
to mention
part,
for cooking and all that kind of the bacon grease for
Yeah,
which
and
they cooked it.
the other part is like it's just a picture of capitalism, right? Like all the imaginative quote unquote air quotes right now, guys, for of all the places to put bacon, but they can't think maybe we should try this with pepper bacon. Maybe we should try this with other flavors of bacon because maybe they would be good in a Bloody Caesar too. And I'm just like, Bloody Caesar, Bloody Mary or a Caesar, sorry. It's been a long time since I drank.
Yeah.
No. And I don't think a bacon needs to be involved in a Bloody Mary.
No.
I don't think so either. I really don't. I think it's got a lot going on already.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lot.
Again, everything all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've definitely hit the peak of the too much gene in everything. And I can see like, at least in the people that I surround myself with, people are starting to kind of revert.
The pendulum swinging
Yeah.
back a little bit.
Because it's like, it's just too much. Like it got really bad with like FOMO, where it was like people were buying everything and limited edition this and limited edition this and one time only and let's do and you got to have the vinyl of every single color that comes out of your favorite artist, even though it's the same fucking vinyl. And it's like all of these things. And now it seems like everybody's gotten to the point where they're like, I don't want to buy anything. Not only am I poor, but also there's too much. Like I've seen people online who will come here from like the UK or they'll come here from different countries and they're like, I went into the grocery store and why are there so many options? Why are there 70 different cereals for me to choose from? Back home, there's 6. Like, what am I?
I have to be honest, like when I said chocolate chip cookies, I did not realize this would this would be a stunning example of consumerism and capitalism,
Yeah.
right? Like, but it really is a referendum on consumerism and how over consumeristic we are and how I think we're all just burned out.
Yeah,
It's too much stuff all
Yes.
the time.
I hate to be the downer about it, but I think we're reaching a point in the economy where that's not going to be so much of an issue.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pendulum may be forcibly swung.
Yeah.
Right.
back to
Yeah.
Going all the way. We're
Right.
overcorrecting a little too hard.
Although Jesse, you and I have had a conversation, I know about on this general topic in terms of like a desire for like a little bit more of a desire for an analog world instead of the digital all the time, right? Like
Oh, absolutely.
going back into in-person things and reading tactile books and being with other people in other houses and your friend gatherings and sort of getting back to those sorts of ways, I feel like.
Like the 90s.
Well, and to bring this back around, that is another reason that oatmeal raisin is superior because those ingredients are significantly cheaper and they taste better.
Okay, but here's the thing. Like, hear me out here, Jesse. Yes, oatmeal raisin cookies are divine, especially when they're done right. But the only thing not the only thing, but one thing that is more divine than an oatmeal raisin cookie is an oatmeal scotchy.
Do tell.
No, we'll just have to agree to disagree.
What? You don't like an oatmeal scotchy? Oh man, it's the
It's
beast.
too much.
Instead of raisins, you put butterscotch chips
Absolutely
in.
not.
Oh, it's the best
Absolutely
ever.
not.
It's sweet and it's wholesome and it tastes like
Scotland.
probably maybe I don't know. I think it tastes like Little House on the Prairie and it makes me very happy to have a oatmeal scotchy.
All right. Well, I might have misunderstood the assignment because
Oh, no,
my
please.
2-minute rant was going to be, or I should say, is about the Montana Democrat senators bailing out Jason Ellsworth.
Go for it.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, for listeners who don't know, Jason Ellsworth is the former Republican president of the state Senate. He is sort of a general crook, criminal from Ravalli County, who has been in trouble with the law for scamming the elderly through his private company. He has been accused and taken to court for domestic violence, allegedly choking his girlfriend, throwing her down a flight of stairs. Maybe our listeners will remember him from last year when video came out of him attempting to intimidate a highway trooper using his position to get out of a speeding ticket. But most recently, political graft, where he tried to steer about $100 and some thousand towards a buddy of his. Finally, the Republican Party turned on him because he did he did something really terrible in their eyes, and that was vote with the Democrats on a couple of issues. So Republicans finally turned on him. They voted to expel him, and the vast majority of Democratic senators, excluding 4, voted to keep him in the Senate rather than expel him. And we don't really know why. One of the arguments made was they only want to use expelling a senator for the most egregious of crimes. I would suggest that stealing from the state would be fairly egregious. But I think most people theorize that they're not willing to expel him because the Senate Democrats have a small amount of power while they have him still in there because he has been voting with the Democrats. And they've made that terrible trade of protecting Ellsworth in order to keep one additional vote.
Controversial. Fuck the money. I don't really give a shit about the money, but like the fact that it's like if you are willing to choke somebody, like that to me is like you're done. Like you should be removed from society because if you're willing to choke somebody, chances like you are fully able and willing to kill somebody because it takes not that much to choke somebody and kill them.
Yeah, but I got to be honest with you. Like I have to play devil's advocate on this one because I hate the fact that we are at a place in this country, in this state, in politics, period, where we're backed into a corner of morally repugnant people evading and getting out of consequences and accountability for their actions in their personal lives and in their other dealings or even in political dealings because we need them for something else. And on this one, when you see the degree and the caliber of bills that are in the legislature now that could potentially go through, I mean, they're still coming after abortion rights. They're still coming after trans rights. They're still coming after measures that have broad implications on our freedoms as Montanans, as Americans, etc.
As women that he
Yeah.
clearly doesn't like.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I hate the fact that we're in a place where we might need to keep a guy like that around to stop those things. But it's like,
to be clear, he's
what are
still
you gonna
voting
do?
against all of those things.
Yeah, I don't think that it's the fact that like this is just another case of showing that like politicians can get away with whatever the fuck they want.
Powerful people.
Like it just doesn't matter. Like laws only apply to people if they're poor.
Yeah, I have a little bit of insight, I think, to the reasoning from the Democrats on this one. And that is, although Jesse, I didn't read the complaints about the girlfriend, the restraining order, until I saw it on your Twitter feed, and that's another strike against the guy. And I don't think anybody is going to argue that Ellsworth is a high character fella at all. But I think what the Democrats are arguing is that the Republicans have known about this for 4 years now. That these transgressions have been going on. They didn't do anything to kick him out of the caucus, but now that it's politically expedient, that they no longer have a supermajority, that's what they want to do. So there's that element to it to combat it in that way. And there is, I also, to your point, I believe that there could be an argument made that a decision should be made that is going to affect the most people in the best way possible. And there is an argument to be made that keeping Ellsworth around, who, although he doesn't vote for the good stuff from our standpoint, has certainly helped us block some of the worst stuff from them, right? But on the third hand, Jesse, I also agree that I hate the fact that I feel like Democrats should be better than that. And I feel like it should be on the character of the person and the rightness or wrongness of this move and not out of political expediency. expediency, you know?
I think that if politicians were held to a higher standard, we'd have a higher standard of politicians. Like that's really what it comes down to. Like it's the same with police. Like if it is found out that you have physically, sexual, whatever, abused another person, that should be an automatic fireable offense. Like not just like jail time and like the law, but just you should lose your job. You should not be in any position of power if in your personal life where you don't have any power, you're still exuding power over another person's autonomy.
Abusive, yeah.
Yeah, like that should be, I think, a hard line for anybody. I don't care what it is that you stand for. I don't care your religion. I don't care about any of the nuances of you as a person. It should come down to imagine that it was your wife, your mother, your daughter, your sister, your brother, your husband, your father, your niece, your nephew, whoever was the person that this person was abusing. You would want everything and anything done to that person to make their life miserable and to everything be taken away from them because it would directly affect you now. So you should have that same stance when it comes to anybody. Like it would not take much for me to cut somebody off in my personal life if I found out that they were abusing somebody. Like, there's no, well, they're nice to me. Oh, well, but they've been such a good person. I don't give a fuck.
Like we said on the last episode, right? Where you can be nice to me and terrible to other people.
Exactly.
And that's really a waste of your time.
Yep.
Because don't bother trying to be nice to me if you can't treat everybody with the same
Right.
afforded good behavior or good character, right? But I think also, too, it plays into a broader issue of this is a big Democratic problem right now, right? Is this authenticity is missing. We are not holding, first of all, we're not seeing people fight hard enough for us, but then we're also not holding true to the values that people want to see held true to.
Yep.
Accountability doesn't exist anymore, and people are mad about that. They're really mad about it. I know I'm mad about it, and it needs to stop. And when does the hammer fall? When do we just put the foot down and say it starts now? Today, right here. Will it be clean? Probably not, but it's got to start somewhere, and this is the day.
The way that I look at it is that if we're being so completely honest, Republicans don't play fair. Like they'll go for the throat. They never have. Why are the Democrats? Why are you trying to play fair in a fight where you know the other person isn't playing fair? And I know that that's like an eye for an eye or what, makes the whole world blind, but it's like in this situation, you're trying to negotiate calmly with somebody who is like trying to start a fire to your house. They don't give a fuck. Like they're ready. And you're like, hey, but what if we just didn't? And it's like, that's not going to stop him from burning your house down, dude. Like at some point you have to stand up for yourself. It's so infuriating that there's anybody, and I know that he's not the only person. Like, that there's other, just look at them. Like there's on both sides, there are people who are abusing their spouses or children or who partners, whatever. And it's like, why as a society have we come to see that like that's acceptable because they might help us down the line? Like that's not harm reduction.
Well, and I understand when the Democrats took the Ellsworth case out of the Senate and moved it over to the Attorney General's office. Do the whole not my monkeys, not my circus, get it out of the Senate and over to the AG's office. You can say that that was a legitimate step to take away the distraction from the Senate and also earn your vote from Ellsworth. They were fighting a good fight. They could then, when the expel vote comes up, grab the keys and back the bus over Ellsworth because they've gotten his vote. He is a bad person. He is a criminal. He has hurt people of the state over and over again. And that is not a trade worth making.
Jesse, and just a question: do you know, was he convicted of the assault or the domestic abuse?
Settle out of court for a large sum of money.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just a thing where you never want to presume if there's that shred of a doubt or whatever.
Yeah,
given the guy's pattern of
allegedly,
behavior,
right?
Given his pattern of behavior, it sure seems a lot more feasible. And the fact that he settled for a large sum, could very well,
Yeah,
indeed.
people can, they can draw their own conclusions from that, right? For the purposes of the show, all of this stuff is alleged. However, I think it just, like we've all said, it just goes back to accountability.
Yeah.
You have too many people abusing the powers that they have, and there is no accountability. There is no responsibility. When does that stop? And when do we get back to the business of being responsible and accountable to the people we work for?
Right. Although, interestingly, to your analogy earlier, I think it can be argued that if the Democrats had voted with the Republicans to expel him, to the gain of the Republicans, presumably they have someone waiting in the queue that's not a friend, a part of the Central Caucus. To their thing, then it would be a thing like, well, the Democrats stuck to their guns again. The other
Now the
side
Freedom
played,
Caucus is running.
and now they've got the advantage. It's
It's a
kind of a
lose-lose. Yeah.
it is kind of in my.
Yeah. I feel everything's on like a hairpin trigger. It seems like every decision that is made on either side is just, we are one wrong cough away from like
Destruction.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I get it. It just, I don't know. For me, abuse is
Mhm.
it's a very,
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I
We can have the
100%
purge for a
agree with
day.
you. Even with the bills that are in the legislature, and this is my personal opinion, right?
Yeah.
Even with what's going on in the legislature, even with the bills, even with the Freedom Caucus, even with the ridiculousness of all of it, I side with you. At some point, somebody has to put a foot down.
and just say
At,
no.
yeah, enough is enough.
I feel that Ellsworth is one of the most powerful people in the Republican Party. He was the president of the Senate in the last session. He's done a ton of harm to the state through his legislation. And through his character, the second he does not need the Democrats, he will not hesitate to throw them under the bus.
100%.
And now that we've saved him, he will do an incredible amount of harm in the future.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, that's a good argument too. And I agree too. And I think at some point you do, if you, like you're saying, when does that happen? And how does that collective decision happen? And it's not collective. It would have to start small
Slowly,
or
yeah.
whatever and build, but being like, you know what, fuck it. We're not going to do that
Yeah.
anymore. We're not going to play the game, and you realize that you're going to take some losses as you're sort of withdrawing,
Right.
extracting yourself
Things always get worse before they get better.
from, business as usual to take that stand or whatever. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's also
Yeah.
important to put in there too, though, that to make a stand like that should not be from a place of piety. It should not be for the decorum of it all. It should not be for the performative activism.
Right.
It should
Absolutely.
be a firm stance because this is who we are and this is what we do now.
Yeah.
Which we don't see a lot in the Democratic Party anymore. Most of the activism that comes out of the Democratic Party reads as performative at best.
yes, the mainstream Dems for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
Since the recording of this episode, Ellsworth has been banned from the Senate floor for life and removed from his committees and has been censured.
Well, this has turned into basically the entire podcast, which I'm loving. So
Yeah.
give your 2 minutes. What are your 2 minutes?
My 2 minutes. Well, I don't have anything nearly as weighty, and I didn't come prepared for anything. So the first thing that came to my mind was people that drive on 3rd Street between Catlin and Reserve, not knowing it's 35, because 25, I drive 20, like I drive that a lot. It's an admitted fault of mine, like I'm not a road rager, at all, but I've done made a lot of progress in not letting things anger me that used to anger me and stuff, but driving for some reason, it's still hits my blind spot a little bit.
Yeah. Driving
Okay.
gets me
And so
so
35, like go
But as a-
25. Like,
As a professional driver in the city, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about because I drive that route myself quite a bit. The speed limit sign, at least coming from Reserve, you don't get it until just before Johnson.
Correction, there are speed limit signs in all of the places we said there should be one. Sometimes the brain doesn't brain.
Which is right just before Catlin. So how are you supposed to know what the speed limit is? Why is the speed limit sign so far away from Reserve? Shouldn't it be like right off of the main thoroughfares? There should be one right off of Russell. There should be one right off of Reserve. Like this is not.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
However, I will point out that the westbound traffic, the speed limit sign is right there by the new dispensary.
Another one. Which
Across
one?
from AutoZone.
I'm like, which one? Yeah.
It's right there, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Right?
Mhm.
Let's. No, we're
Yeah.
not gonna. We're not gonna.
No.
We're gonna stay at 25.
Yeah, road driving makes me crazy. Like I take public transit to work most of the time just because I'm like I remember being a kid and wanting so badly to drive, and then a year into me driving I was like I never want to drive again. It is one of the things, like you said, I've tried to do a lot of internal work on like not getting angry and like, whatever, but it's like I don't know what it is about being behind the wheel of a car that like sets me into just an uncontrollable rage with people. I'm like, you're going too slow. I'm going fast enough. Why are you riding me? Why are you going so slow? What is happening with this person? Like why are you not stopping when we're at a red light to allow people to like go in on the in between? Why are you driving on the shoulder? Why are you driving in a bike lane? Like, what is happening? Yeah.
Yeah, I have to tell you also, I had an experience yesterday that I thought was a little road ragey, and I was like, wow, lady. I mean, that's not
Not the
what I
word.
called her at the moment. But so I was downtown going to Pangea to have dinner, and I parked on the corner, basically like right by 1889, right? So on the corner of what is that? Whatever. I don't know, main or front on the other side, and I had to cross the street. Well, there was an alleyway, right there, Florence.
Mhm.
And so, to my knowledge, that counts as a street corner.
Yeah.
And you can cross straight across, which I did. And I, stepped out to where the cars could see me. And I waited for a nice long opening because I loaf. I am not a fast walker. And this lady was way down at Bear Tracks Bridge, right? And so I walk across. And as I hit the sidewalk, she says, "No jaywalking!" Out her window. She's yelling at me. And I'm just like, whatever. So then I loaf up to Main and Higgins, and the lady is there with her window down at the stoplight. And I mean, I can't help myself.
Yeah.
There's an impulsivity here. And I just waved at her. I was like, "Hi." And she's like, "You almost got hit." And I'm like, "Oh, wow. In what century? Are you traveling at light speed in your Ford Explorer? I don't know what you think happened there." I was like, "I wasn't jaywalking." She's like, "Yes, you were. You weren't in a crosswalk." And I'm like, "There's not a crosswalk at every single street corner.
But also, even if you were like
Who are you?"
Yeah.
Karen,
Uh-huh.
just somebody who's miserable with their life, who has nothing better to do
Yeah,
than
But also the best part. See, Karma, I love Karma so much, especially when she lets me watch.
Oh,
I love it when Karma lets me watch her work, because then she needed to turn and I had to cross the street, and I was like, well, I mean, I kind of loaf.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe I feel a little hitch in the get along here. Start
Yeah.
dragging my foot just a little bit,
Yeah.
Look at her square in the eye. She's like, "Ah."
Just like screaming behind the wheel.
Yep.
that
Watching the countdown the whole time, and I'm like, I'm waiting until that's one because I know exactly what happens when that hits one.
Yeah. See, but like that to me is kind of like inexcusable road rage, where I feel like maybe what we're talking about is excusable road rage. Because like I'm not yelling at anybody, I'm not like flipping anybody off or like following somebody. I'm just like in my car, like I swear to fucking on. I'm just like white knuckle gripping my steering wheel, just like screaming into the nothingness that is my car.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's not confrontational.
Yeah, no, I'm never going to confront any unless somebody's doing like something incredibly dangerous. But it's like, even then, I'm like,
Although I will say I have yelled at the top of my lungs when I've been like outside. We live in a 25 mile an hour residential in the Franklin neighborhood, and people ripping down like 40, literally like moving around, like so they don't hit me at 40. And that's I'm like,
yeah. See, but that's reasonable.
Those aren't my.
That's somebody doing something dangerous that like could get somebody hurt.
Yeah, and I think there's a place for confrontation.
Yeah,
I think people are maybe a little too afraid of confrontation sometimes. That's okay. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think that in those moments, and maybe this is probably just saying more about me as a person than anything, but I do think there's a place for confrontation, and there's a bit of satisfaction that comes from serving up cold, man. Like, bitch, shut up. You know what I mean? Or move out of the way, or slow down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. If you're like trying to start a fight with somebody, I think that's where it gets like a little.
Yeah, I'm not trying to commit a crime.
Yeah, just like relax. Everybody's fine. Nobody got hurt.
But also on an adjacent issue to the 3rd Street, I'm living for this, even though somebody partially tore it down. There is someone that is going around town putting up stickers. And the first sticker I noticed was on 3rd Street there at Russell. You know how they have those little orange paddle things standing up so that you can't turn to the gas station if you're headed eastbound? Lots of
really
stickers
quickly.
on there. What's that?
So I'm calling in from Butte while the three of you are sitting in Missoula, and I feel like I'm listening into an episode. You know that SNL skit, The Californians?
Yes.
I have no idea what these places are that you're talking about.
He's like trying to find. He's like Google mapping.
He's like, what are we doing? What?
Google Street View.
Right? What does this look like? So you're like this one though, Jesse. So there's somebody who's going around town and they're putting up stickers, and I absolutely love every minute of it. The first sticker I noticed was on 3rd Street on those paddles, and it was a picture of Tim Sheehy with a crown and a flag in the background. And it said, Tim Sheehy 2024, because I'm a pretty princess.
That's so funny.
It's fantastic. I had to take a picture of it. And then I've noticed around town there are some other pictures that have a bald Donald Trump with a mustache man,
I
a
hit the
little,
mustache.
yeah, a Hitler mustachio that says "Not my dictator."
Oh my
And I'm like,
God.
I don't know who this person is, but I absolutely love them. And if they ever sell the merch, please find me. I will just hand you my paycheck now.
That's so funny.
Would you buy a shirt that said 2-bit Shitler?
I would absolutely buy that because I'm also the person who bought the t-shirt. I love graphic tees that said "fuck Trump" in sign language.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
There's somebody on TikTok who like sells clothing and they do a lot of like anti-Trump, anti-MAGA stuff. And they have like the what is it? Like the concealed hatred shirts and sweaters and whatever. And it's all embroidered like FDT. And so it's like that people just see it and they wouldn't regularly know, but like if you know, you know. And so it's like it's really funny. Like I've seen people wearing like FDT and I'm like, I wonder if they got that because fuck Donald Trump or if they got it because they just thought it looked cool and they don't know what it means.
right.
Or they think it means like DTF or like something like that. It gives me the satisfaction either way because I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I hesitate to bring this up because it seems like this episode we're just going down rabbit holes.
Hell
But
yeah.
I love the JD Vance memes.
Oh my God,
The Bethany
yes.
couch.
I love the video where they have that song where it's like Felicia, Gina, Jennifer, Veronica, and it's a different couch for each one.
Oh my God, I need to Google it.
It's fantastic. And I'm like, yes, that it's so apropos. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well,
Is he also the same? Is this the same person that I'm thinking of? Because there's so many of politicians. But the lifts in his shoes, the memes with
No, that's Ron DeSantis, who was just in
Oh,
okay.
shit.
No, that's relevant. This is actually Montana politics because Ron DeSantis was here in Montana
the
this week
slantus.
the
Ugh.
slanted.
as the guest of Gianforte.
But like, aren't his feet just like they're almost like at like a full like they're almost completely
Like
vertical.
PB Herman?
Like legitimate, like it is absolutely insane. Like to see the just wear stripper shoes. Like at that point, like you'll get more out of it.
So these
So
are some of the
there's-
JD Vance memes, and they are pretty funny because they look like, to me, they look like Garbage Pail Kids
Oh my
Yes.
from
God.
back in the day.
Also, is he like he's fully wearing makeup, right? Like he's fully wearing like mascara and eyeliner.
Eyeliner, I think he does. I think he may possibly purposely wear that. As a matter of fact, so much so, I
Like
think
he's
he
got a
might have.
smoky eye.
I think he might have like literally had them tattooed on there because that's what it looks like to me. It looks like he had tattooed liner on the bottom.
No, because it's different each time. He's for sure rocking like a smoky eye.
Could be.
Although, have you guys read the Signal tech? He was the one
Some.
guy that
Thank you.
advocated for delaying.
That's actually something we're supposed to talk about today.
True.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
Fair. It was. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to give him that. Got to
I
give him
haven't-
something. It's not a lot,
Yeah, I have.
but he. I mean, in context, he was the one guy that was like, maybe you should wait a month. And then,
Yeah.
but then as soon as they were like, no, he was like, okay, let's go.
There's a small, teeny tiny, very teeny tiny, like Horton here's a who tiny part of me that thinks that he at one point might have been a good person because he was fully anti-Trump. Like he was like in interviews and everything was like basically like fuck Donald Trump. He's an idiot. He's awful.
I'm a
he's
never
horrible.
Trump guy.
I'm a
Yeah.
never Trump guy. They made the whole song
The
about him
dance.
fucking
Yeah.
the couch.
I never
I'm a never
liked it.
Trump guy.
Yeah.
Thing. But and so it's like I don't know what dirt they have on him that made him flip so fucking quick.
There's so many of those guys too.
Yeah.
No, and that's a dangerous path to go down.
Oh, yeah,
if
for
you're
sure.
a good or bad
Allegedly.
person, whether or not you like Trump, but he's an opportunist.
Oh, for sure.
Plain and
Yeah, I
simple.
mean, when you look into, so I know a little bit about JD Vance, so I can't stand the guy. I've never been.
Yeah, I don't want to get down
I
the
just
rabbit
hate him,
hole of
but-
JD Vance. But I
Let me just do a little bit synopsis
text.
though, right?
Yeah.
Because when we're talking about flipping, I think people would be interested.
Yeah.
Why would this guy who says, I'm a never Trump guy, I never liked him, I think he's Hitler 2.0,
Yeah.
you know, very vehemently, right? And this was not that long ago. And now all of a sudden he's vice president and he is acting in the same manner. Well, it goes back to the PayPal bros, Peter Thiel in particular. JD Vance and Peter Thiel have been in bed
Mhm.
together for years and years and years. And so once we saw the insurgence of the tech bros into the Republican Party side of it, that's when JD Vance skates in there. And it's interesting. I think we're going to see some documentaries over time once the Trump administration is done at whatever point, hopefully sooner rather than later that is. I think we're going to see some documentaries about why all of a sudden JD Vance was picked for vice president over all of the other possibilities, because he really did just kind of skate in overnight, and everybody was like, why that guy?
Well, that was because of Trump's son. Trump's son is the one who wanted JD Vance. I don't remember what the fuck his name is, but his son and JD Vance were like tight. This
like
is what
Trump Jr. or Eric?
I maybe Trump Jr.
Mhm.
Were like tight. And so he went to daddy and was like, hey, let's do JD Vance. People like him. And so he did, and Trump fucking hates him. But he did it because he was like, oh, this will give me a leg up. My son's in the know. He knows what the younger people will go for. So he trusted his son and got JD Vance on board. And then he became known as the couch fucker.
But,
To be clear, this is all alleged and just what I saw online. This is not factual.
but Theo holds a lot of water with
does.
the hardcore conservatives.
A lot of
That
money,
was
a lot of power,
absolutely-
him and Musk
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was probably what it was also, is there's probably, I'm positive there's background deals going on there allegedly, but I think it's important that people understand, that JD Vance is tied in with the tech bros.
Oh, yeah.
Very heavily. And that's a big part of why he is where he's at. But it's also interesting because he is incredibly jealous
Oh, that,
of
yeah.
Elon Musk in particular. And so as a guy who is like in the tech bro club, seeing those guys compete with each other has been interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, I haven't seen the text messages, so I don't really know kind of what it is, but it's like I heard that they were talking about it through emojis, and I don't know how true that is, but I'm just like, I'm like, I can picture a group of like tech bro-y types.
It was Walt, I think.
Like
It was
the fist bump,
fist
American
bump,
flag
American
and
flag
the,
and
the fire.
the fire, yeah.
And it's like that, like that in a group chat, hilarious. In a group chat, like about super important things, like war,
Killing people in Yemen. Yeah.
not funny, not
Yeah.
cool. It's also like, allegedly, you're an idiot. What do you mean? How is this real? I can see you in a private group chat with your friend, maybe like trying to make everybody, deals with things in different ways. You're trying to make levity of it because it is war and there are inevitably going to be casualties, things like that. But in a very serious, what is supposed to be a serious group chat, I just cannot. And it also reminds me of this TikTok that I saw that someone was like, we need a girly to be in charge of the group chat, because never in fucking any way in hell if there was just one girly in that group chat, would she have not quadruple checked that
Mads Mitch. I know exactly what you're talking about.
and like you're making sure, like, never once has a girls chat been accidentally added like a boyfriend when you're shit talking. Like, you don't hello, no one thought to fucking check that all the numbers were right.
She also made a follow-up
Cannot.
video to that where she says, yes, war plans, that's a phone call, babes. That's a phone call.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
that's not a text. That's a phone call, babes.
That's a meeting.
Yeah.
Like, that is the one thing that shouldn't have been an email.
That's not an emoji.
Yeah, that is the one like where like, oh, this email could have been or this meeting could have been an email. Not this one, bitch.
Could you imagine if they would have like put the POW emoji in there? Like the bomb emoji?
My God.
Like,
I
how
feel
long before we're there?
Would have been coming soon.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It probably was in there. It's probably just in the part that they didn't divulge.
Yeah. I don't understand how.
Well, it's that mix of stupid plus bad intentions.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the plan. If you look at the Project 2025 game plan,
Yeah.
Mhm.
they recommend that you use these alternative messaging platforms to avoid Freedom of Information Act requests. You can't have the press get access to it if you're illegally communicating classified information on platforms that delete it.
Right.
Which is, a terrible intention, and it's illegal.
Totally.
But
All
because they're
these things are
so
supposed to be
fucking
archived.
stupid, they invite the press to it anyway.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Was he intentionally added to the group chat, or was it like a whoopsie?
They're saying it's a whoopsie, but I have reservations about that because there's a lot of other important things that have gone on. Like we saw Mike Johnson and Jim Jordan threaten the courts for ruling against Trump initiatives and executive orders and whatnot. You saw reports are coming out about the Social Security Administration and how it is currently crumbling, not to mention what in the very near future could lead to withholding withholding payments or delays in payments or missed payments to people. This is their livelihood. For most people on Social Security, it is the only thing they've got.
Yeah.
This is it. There's nothing else. So if they don't get that check, they literally have nothing.
I've seen some people suggest that he was intentionally added as a way of getting the internally phrased. There was multiple references to Europe's freeloading and literally how they were going to. One of the problems they discussed was that, well, if we do these strikes now and we help everybody, how are we going to get them to pay us after we do the strikes? Like, how are we going to get remuneration, right? So they wanted to get, but they decided that ultimately the bloodlust overcame the money lust.
Well, and you saw that it was,
they ordered it, right?
Yeah, and you see that it's Stephen Miller, right? Who I saw some people doing an analysis on his part of that chat where they were talking about how he's not even sure that Trump authorized that. He's like, well, I think he's okay with it. Like, maybe. I mean,
well, and it's an interesting.
We'll figure it out later.
It's a fascinating look at the process because, as I understand it now, Trump indicated that he wanted to strike. He was open to an attack, and then it was then laid at the feet of the people on this text chain to.
Well,
the thing I want.
This
Right?
4D chess that they purposely invited a journalist that is completely antithetical to anything that they believe is giving them way too much credit.
I 100% agree. And I think because I can't imagine the combined egos of the guys on that fucking cat is gargantuan, right? Yeah. And at least a few of them have to be smart enough to know that if there was a reporter on this thing and they were acting like that they were going to come out looking like idiots. Yeah. And they did it anyway? No.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And now to see them backpedal, to see how they're trying to skate out of it, it's like, I don't understand. It's so weird that every press conference with Carolyn Levitt is like a dare. You know what I mean? She comes out and it's like everything she says is, I dare you to call me a liar. It's Nellie Olson. I swear to God.
Is that the girl who's 26 who looks like she's 45?
Yeah, and married to a 67-year-old or whatever. Yeah, allegedly married to the crypt keeper. I don't know. Yeah, but that's her.
Where she's like actively trying to like fist fight the fucking press every time they like ask her a question.
Like she's definitely okay. So I don't know if you guys remember the SNL skits with Sean Spicer, Melissa McCarthy being Sean Spicer, and how aggressive she was in that role. Caroline Levitt is like one notch below that sketch.
Oh yeah, she's at a high simmer.
Yeah,
she comes in at a
It's weird.
It is
like
I've
weird. Seen clips of her on like TikTok and stuff, and at first I was like, okay, maybe they're just like clipping the parts where she's getting like aggravated, and like the more I would look, I was like, oh, is this her? This is her regular.
Yeah, this is her this is her regulated emotional state.
Yeah, it's just, are you the one making these plans? Like, why are you fighting the press who's asking you questions like this was your idea?
I have to be honest with you. Every time I see a clip of her, I just hear the Rugrats intro in the background because she's 100% Angelica. Da, 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 and then open, like that's all I hear. And I can't even listen to her anymore because I'm like, oh my God, the bullshit is so thick.
I mean, I guess you would have to just be at the feet of Trump, like worshiping at his altar to be his press secretary.
I love the way you say that.
But like
allegedly,
but legitimate, because there is no way in hell that I could stand at that podium and defend any decision he made, and I don't think that a rational person probably could. Like, you would have to wholeheartedly believe in every decision he made to do that. I saw a clip where Trump was talking about, like, he basically just went on a rant about how the newspaper company that the journalists work for isn't like he's not a real journalist. And I'm like, okay, no, I get that that's your opinion, but he was still added to the group chat. You haven't talked about what the fuck, like.
He was the editor-in-chief of the Atlantic magazine, which is like.
Yeah, come on, dude. But also, could you imagine if it wasn't him and it was just like a regular person who then was just like tweeting every fucking chat that was sent in? Because, like, not for nothing, allegedly, don't come for me, bitch, me too, like, that's what I would do. Like, are you kidding me? I've never been added to a group chat like that. I get added to like crazy. What's the girl on TikTok, she was like, I get added to like Nana's 80th birthday by mistake. And it's like, could you imagine just like being at home, just like reading a book, and like your phone goes off and it's like ding 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 ding, and you're like looking at it, you're like, what the fuck did I just get added to? What?
Yeah, if they were doing this on purpose, they would have added like Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports or something. Which, by the way, even he thinks they're idiots for doing it.
Yeah, he went off.
Or Joe Rogan. Yeah.
Joe
Yeah.
Rogan for sure.
I also like I have to be so honest. Like I find it strange that they have his personal number because The Atlantic is kind of traditionally a
That's what I'm
left-leaning
saying.
publication. So why do they even have his number to begin with?
But it is one of the most prominent legacy media left in the
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
sure they all have his
country.
number.
It's yeah, totally.
But it's like
Yeah.
there is a small part of my brain that loves a conspiracy theory that is like, is there someone in that group chat that was just like so fucking sick and tired of everybody's shit that they were like, you know what I'm gonna do?
Watch this.
I'm just gonna like no one is listening. This is like we're getting to the point where things are too bad, but I can't say anything and let anybody know that I think things are too bad or they're gonna come for me. So what if we just quickly type in this number? Oh no, we don't know who did it. And it's like there's like a
But it's
small
actually in the
part.
thing, so Signal registers, and it's Mike Waltz added
Okay.
Goldberg.
And do we think that that is a possibility
Like,
for him?
it was his account. He could do the
But, like,
classic,
people
oh,
on his
so
staff
it was
could've
my
done it.
assistant or
Yeah.
whatever, and I think
I mean, it could have been, I don't know. I same with the conspiracy theory. Like, there's just that little nugget in the back of my head. Like, I agree with Jesse. I don't believe this is 4D chess.
When you hear
At
hosts, I
best,
don't
it's
think
40
zebras.
checkers, right?
Yeah.
Like, on a good day, it's
Yeah,
40
yeah, yeah.
checkers. But there's that part in the back of my head that just says they just want to troll us again because half of what they're doing is just trolling anyway.
It's also a distraction.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, what are they trying to distract us from? I'm always looking for that. But then I'm also like, is this just another troll? Do they just want to see, do they want us to see how irreverent they are? And they just want to see us get upset about how they're just flouncing their responsibility so blatantly all the time.
Yeah.
and Trump did drop the voting executive order today, right?
Really?
In the shadow
Yeah.
of all this too. So you could be like,
yes,
oh,
he did sign it. He didn't. Okay,
Right.
I see what you're saying.
yeah. And yeah, no, dropped as in like,
Yeah.
like the kids say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My new
Gotcha.
album dropped.
My new
A new
album.
video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
Our
podcast
new
is going to
episode
drop.
dropped.
Things going to drop in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But he did do that, and people could say like, "Oh yeah, it was a firestorm to give the." But then at the same time, it's so batshit crazy, and he does something batshit crazy every day. You're like, I could just be part of the flow too.
Well, yeah, true. And I also saw someone that was like, the Onion's going to go out of business because every fucking headline is like, is this an Onion title?
Yeah,
At this point, who
Is it-
knows,
is it
right?
real?
irony is dead.
Yeah.
It has been.
Yeah.
What do you guys think
smashed.
about that voting executive order basically codifying the SAVE Act that hasn't made it through Congress yet?
The SAVE Act for requiring
Voting,
federal ID
Mhm.
to prove vote? Yeah,
citizenship, and
Yeah,
how
no,
that could
it's-
affect women who have changed their
it is
name.
another. Yeah, it's just another in the long line of the
So
voting
is it-
restriction
Sorry,
legislation that's
I'm
coming out from
super
that
plugged
side.
in. Is it so you would need a federal ID to vote?
Very specific ones, not just any, right? So like a birth certificate wouldn't work. You would have to have either like a real ID or a passport.
So they're
Mhm.
coming after poor people.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
People
all
that don't
voting
have access to.
all voter suppression starts there, right? But it
Yeah.
doesn't end there. And I think in this case, there is a large amount of concern that women who have gotten married and
Married and
changed
changed
their
their
last names now will have at best a hard time voting and at worst have their voted excluded. It's
Yeah,
their
and
vote
trans
excluded. So it's like, yeah, so that it would basically in a roundabout way nullify the 19th Amendment.
Sick. I mean, he brought
Right.
back segregation, right? So
Essentially, yeah.
And Jesse, it's happening here too, right? And we have there's a bill to end voter registration at noon, I think, on election day here. They're taking another run.
Yeah, there is, and it'll probably pass and get shut down by the courts like
It
it
is.
usually does.
It is.
But
And you know what nobody points out too is that Montanans we spoke on this. It was an initiative in 2010, right? And we voted to keep registration day open through election day.
Mhm.
The people did, and now they've tried to undo it every single time, and they're doing the same thing with abortion now too, with this
Mhm.
personhood thing. We
Mhm.
literally just passed it, and that's like just the arrogance of
I
their
went to the
positions right
protest
now,
in
right?
Missoula
Mhm.
about that. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
need to change the conversation around these voter IDs, though, because that is a legitimate issue from the right when they bring up that people could vote potentially illegally. It rarely ever happens, but it is something that can potentially happen. We talk about voter ID like it's this non-starter, but we should be having conversations about the cost associated with it, the obstacles associated with voter ID.
Yeah.
There's no problem with having a voter ID if we're able to take care of those obstacles.
But that's the thing, is they don't want to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it didn't cost, $100 and whatever to get a passport, or it didn't cost 40 and some change for a real ID instead of, the $10, if it didn't cost anything to get identification, if you're going to require identification to vote, then it shouldn't cost anything.
But not
A digital ID is completely affordable. It's easy to update. You can do it quickly. And then at the same time, you've got legislatures that are going out and making digital IDs illegal. I mean, I can go out and if I were to be pulled over by the police and they ask for a proof of insurance, I can pull that up on my phone. That's digital ID. That's digital proof. There's no reason that we can't do that. And
I think cheaper. I think I get what you're saying. Me personally, I live in a digital world. I, work in social media and other avenues. So I'm very much in videos and YouTubes and all that shit. But I don't trust. There's something about that. I'm not sure I trust with the digital ID. I mean, I'm sure there's a way of making those secure, right, and authenticated but again, are we going to do that and make sure that everybody has access to that level of ID? Because it's not just money, right? I mean,
You have people that just don't have cell phones.
Right.
People that don't have access to electronics. You have, I like the idea. I really do like the idea, like Jesse was saying, because it's so much more convenient, it's easier. I like that. The problem that I have with that is I still don't believe 100%, I'm probably about 85%, but I don't believe 100% that Musk has not manipulated the past election because of the comments that they make. Yeah, allegedly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just my opinion, just my chasing, conspiracy theories, whatever, because of the comments that they've made about the voting machines and because of the fact that it was reported that he did purchase Dominion voting machines to take them apart and analyze them and how they work.
Trump in whatever he was, one of his rants, he did openly say that he had Elon buy the election in Pennsylvania. He admitted it like 2 or 3 times in a single speech.
Yeah.
He said some very cryptic things that could easily be attributed to that, I think.
Well, no, I'm
weird.
almost positive that he said that I had Elon buy it for me.
Yeah, you could spin what he said, but
yeah.
I agree with what I saw it too. And he's like, yeah, basically it was like, well, they stole the election or I don't know. It's the way that he said it. And you're like, oh yeah, he's totally admitting his guilt because, why that's part of the win is the braggadocio of it. But
the getting away with it.
Yeah, but you can't call him on it because they'll just spin it, right?
Yeah. Totally. But when it comes to the voter ID stuff, as you pointed out, Jesse, actual instances of fraudulent voting are insanely rare.
Yeah.
Vanishingly thin. There's not legitimate proof that any significant election has been affected in the past.
Yeah.
I don't know how long, but 50 years, whatever, right? And so a lot of this and I totally get the need to be proactive and making sure that we're still allowing the right people to vote. But with so little cases of it actually happening, it seems to be that we're spending a lot of fucking time figuring out how to make it harder for people to do it.
Yeah.
When the problem itself is not at this time at any kind of scale that it's significant to
I think that divulges the problem, right? That divulges the whole point of it sounds good to have, these changes to how we register to vote. In theory, right, on its face, it sounds good. But when you look at it, it's such a minute problem. Why are we spending so much time on this? And why are we trying to make it so much harder when what we have now works and works really well? By any measure of any large-scale system, the percentage of error on this is so minute that it's astonishingly good.
And there's no
realistically, you could take voter ID laws and make it more secure and easier. That's really the benefit of talking about digital IDs or more affordable forms of ID. It can be more affordable. It can be more accessible and more secure.
The library will be closing in 15 minutes. Please make your final selections and take them to the checkout area. Please return all laptops at this time. Those using meeting rooms, please end your meeting, clean up, and vacate the room. Thank you.
Hey, Nick, thank you so much for coming on. I really
Hey,
appreciate you taking
thanks
time.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was so nice to
uh,
meet you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, where
a
can people
pleasure.
find you?
If anyone wants to get a hold of me, I'm Shinehead Swede on Instagram. I guess is probably as good a handle as anything. And
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
bye.